retired Navy SEAL, and my wife and I run a training course, started after I retired, called Extreme SEAL Experience in Chesapeake, Virginia. Boys as young as 15, I joined the Navy at 17, come to this training course. Our oldest guy to go through was 69. 25 guys at a pop, 50 every 2 weeks. They come from all over the world, China, Australia. We built up quite a reputation doing the course. It involves a lot of shooting, helicopters, rappelling, close quarter combat. And I'm the only guy in Chesapeake that owns his own submarine. With that course, I was rappelling the guys in July, very hot day. I came back off the rappel tower, and my wife was running out with me with a phone. She was like, "It's Jay Leno, it's Jay Leno, Jay Leno wants to talk to you." And Jay Leno's mechanic, he is known for having all these beautiful vehicles. And his mechanic contacted me, and he said, "Jay is palling around with 2 Navy SEALs," and I don't believe they were Navy SEALs. Jay is a very generous guy to the military. He's the Bob Hope of our era. And I quickly verified that both of those guys were fake SEALs. And he certainly informed Jay of that. They were preying on his generosity. Jay invited me on the Tonight Show. We talked, he talked to my wife, he talked to I for a while. He was quite impressed with that. But the subject was dark. It was a little depressing about that. He said, "Spruce it up for the comedy. It's up to my producer." And I couldn't think of anything really funny about it. My son has been a SEAL now for about 12 years. He recently made Chief Petty Officer. My wife and I have been to too many memorials. All our friends are SEALs. All our instructors are SEALs. And we got tired of it. We got tired of going to the memorials from Iraq and Afghanistan. And we started exposing fake Navy SEALs, of which there is no shortage. Underwater demolition teams, the predecessors to Navy SEALs, got their start in 1943 after the marine disaster at Tarawa. They said, "We have got to put guys in the water to survey these beaches." In 71 years, there's been a little over 18,000 men ever successfully get through any form of underwater demolition, Navy combat demolition units, or today's modern SEALs. Out of those 18,000 men, a lot of them, an awful lot, were World War II vets. We had a lot of underwater demolition team guys who were unfortunately, a lot of them deceased. We estimate right now there are less than 10,000 men alive on this planet that have ever graduated any form of SEAL or underwater demolition team. The FBI did a study years ago and estimated each living SEAL carries 300 imposters on his back. Based off the verifications that I do each day, I put that number at over 1,000. Your chances of bumping into a living, breathing Navy SEAL are about 1 in 47,000 people in this country. I verify 20, 30, and often over 50 fraudulent SEAL claims each and every single day. I'm contacted through a variety of networks over it, from Facebook, YouTube, phone calls, emails. And I have a SEAL database, and a lot of people find that a little hard to believe, that there's actually a list of the guys. SEAL training, underwater demolition team, is not a classified school. It's no different than the Navy cook school. And there are records kept. It's a simple list that we go down. If your name is not on there, then you were not listed. You were never a Navy SEAL. What I typically do is I can pull someone's military records in 24 hours and find out exactly what you did. And why is this important? People verify these claims not only for their neighbor, their gym teacher, their father, their brother, whomever it is. It goes from the barroom loudmouth to the pedophiles and the rapists. We put one to death in Florida last year. A lot of these guys are horribly abusive to women and children. They're stalkers. When you tell someone you're a Navy SEAL, oftentimes it is to scare people, to intimidate them. And they do a great job of doing that. They do it for profit, promotion. They'll write it on the resume, and it opens doors for people. When you tell someone you're a SEAL, it'll open a door for you. Their horrific lies of killing women and children and acts of valor that are just off of the charts. And it does a terrible discredit to the United States military, and it's a disgraceful performance. And for our wounded vets and all the veterans in the house that have honorably served. I started exposing them on YouTube with an online show, and I guess that's how I was found here, called Phony Navy SEAL of the Week. It's a comedy show because it is such a dark subject, and I guess I'm pretty funny. We've got over 24 million views of those YouTube videos, and it is awakening people to this phenomenon that there is such a thing as a fake Navy SEAL. As that stopped working, looking for the, not stop, but looking for the new avenue to go, my wife and I started to travel to confront these guys in person. We go after the worst of these guys. They are terribly threatening to us, and we just don't care. I was a SEAL, and you were not. We have traveled to 8 different states as far away as Oregon, drove and flown, and I've caught up to 13 of them. On-camera encounters, and we put them up on the internet. It's the best way with the stolen valor laws in this country. It needs some work, but a public shaming is exactly what they need. My point for this and talking to you people is a number of these guys prey on these hunts. I can't tell you how many of them I exposed that have gone to these hunts, these elk hunts, these fishing trips. There's a thing now called these invisible wounds. It's the traumatic brain injury. It's the PTSD. It's something that you can't see. You know, the guy's missing an arm or a leg. He's been horribly burned. You know, a visible injury. And they prey on you folks. They will snake in because the problem is you guys don't want to confront or ask for a little bit of proof. You don't want to embarrass that guy. And that's exactly what they go for. Nobody wants to question them on the stolen valor and hoping that they're not right. They prey on that generosity, folks, and I would just say that you're just such fine people in this nation. The way it's treating our veterans today, the generosity that's poured out is just overwhelming. It's quite flattering. It's so honorable, and you have much to be proud of. But you should take that extra step to verify that claim, to make sure that you're not getting taken, or I will get the phone call, and it's heartbreaking to say, you know, that guy never served in the military, or he did, and he was dishonorably discharged, or some of the things I have to do every day with these guys. Ask for proof, folks, and I guess as a final tip for you guys, if anybody ever tells you it's classified, I can't say, take your finger and shove it in his eye just about as hard as you can. Finally, I'll say that my grandfather was sunk in World War I in the Navy. Our other grandfather served in World War II as an Army captain. My father was a fighter pilot in the Air Force. My wife and I met in the Navy. She was one of the first women on Navy ships. Her father invaded Normandy and somehow survived that entire war in the infantry. My brother, a United States Marine, my other brother, an Army Ranger. We have much to be proud of in our family, and we're overwhelmed. I wouldn't even point out one person here to highlight, or a few. It's been all of you. You're kind of scary. You're like the Stepford people. Everybody here is so nice and has just been so generous and outgoing to us that we're really quite flattered and very honored that you guys would take such good care of us, from the guides to the landowners to the people making the drinks and cooking, and just everything about this has just been absolute first class. And my wife and I know I speak for my brothers, we need to go home and dry out a little bit and get some sleep. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Wonderful, yes? Thank you, Mr.
Kill. There you go. Whoa! Hang up. Woo-wee. Watch these ones back around. Dang, got one. Reload that.
My first goose of the season. I hit it first try.